What the fuck?
It's like croutons in a soup.
Don't turn down any opportunity, whether it's a camp, a clinic, because you never know literally who's watching.
Make your own decision and stick with them and know they're the right decisions, right? And even if they aren't right, don't regret them.
He didn't know creatine existed.
So you got some creatine? He's like, oh, yeah. Lift heavyweight.
Shipped across the border. I shipped across the border.
Shipped across the border, man.
Welcome back to Shipped Across the Border.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Shipped Across the Border. My name is Max. I'm here with Chris. And today we have on Nick from the men's volleyball team, current GNAC Player of the Week, Elms, male athlete of the week, and coming off a career week with 2 W's, 39 kills, and two non-conference wins. And great conversation, talk about life insurance, volleyball, and a lot of different things and everything in between. And so we had a good conversation coming up for you guys. So stay tuned and see you guys in a bit. What's going on, Nick? Good morning. Bright and early podcast on a little Saturday at the good old college. What's going on?
Everybody's moving a little groggy right now, not gonna lie.
What do you got planned for today?
Pre-game ritual, study hall.
Today is game day.
Study hall, yeah.
Study hall every game day.
Every Friday, but we have a game every Friday, so. Then I got a recruit coming, gonna give him a tour. Got another recruit coming after that, give him a tour.
Today?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, pre-game, and then game time.
Are you superstitious? Like, if you don't get the pregame ritual down?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm very superstitious.
Nick's on the men's volleyball team at Elms. I feel like we need to preface that before.
Do that after he leaves and just do the old intro thing, but I don't care.
Yeah, we definitely are. We're going to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wait, so what is the super strict Nick ritual look like? Like a pizza before the game, a little bit of Diet Coke here and there?
It's not meal-wise. It's just getting to the facility, going to see the trainer, do my pregame stretches, pregame heat, and then I go into the gym. Same songs every time. Same stretches.
Are you on aux? To
No,
make sure it's the same
no,
songs?
I have my separate
your
earphones in. I don't listen to the other songs. And yeah, other than that, actually, I do hand sanitize my shoes before every game. The bottom soles, make it sticky.
That's very interesting. I don't know if I've heard that before.
Well, Elms gym's a little dusty.
Mm-hmm. Hand sanitize the bottom of the shoes.
Do they not have like the sticky pads out for the volleyball game?
I don't know.
No, you guys don't.
We don't
get
even
that?
have that every game, I don't think.
No, we need that.
Yeah?
That's what we need.
I feel like the court is dusty because of you guys. Like,
Honestly,
I feel like
probably.
I feel like I don't know if this makes sense. My thought process, like after volleyball practice, like everyone's just standing in the same spot, and so like, over and over and over and over and over again, they're like moving around the court and like picking up dust and moving, but it's in the same spot. As opposed to basketball, it's like up and down, so the individual spots are not getting as much attention as in volleyball. Also, I feel like some people in volleyball, do you guys have like separate shoes?
No.
Like basketball play. Yeah, exactly. Some people like will walk in the shoe that they're gonna wear on the court to the gym, right?
Right.
Yeah. So basketball, like we all have shoes in our locker, change into our stuff. So I feel like that's also why.
Do you think you play significantly worse if you miss the ritual? Have you missed the ritual in like the last 3 years?
I don't remember the last time I've missed a ritual.
Okay.
No. Not that I think of. Definitely not.
How did you start playing volleyball? Because I know that
It's a long.
I know you were a little bit of a late.
Yeah, I'm
late bloomer.
a late bloomer. My friend from Agawam, Dan Yoki, he was the best player in the state. He played for Agawam. They needed a couple players. Convinced me to play. Tried out. Started. And we won a state championship. And that was it.
Senior year, you guys won state championship volleyball?
Yep. First year.
That's awesome.
You started playing volleyball in senior year of high school?
Yeah.
And you were immediately the GOAT?
Some would say. Some would say the GOAT, but I'm humble about it. Leave it to God, I guess.
Super nice, yeah. Even, I remember the first time so I'm interested in volleyball, obviously. We'll get into that later, how I was working with you guys a little bit, not working with you guys as if I was like a trainer, being worked by you guys. But me and Chris were like watching one of the tournaments, and
right away, like just like your natural ability stood out to us.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I played soccer my whole life. I played club. That was the reason why I just didn't play. I mean, I remember freshman year, I put out a story on Snapchat. It was like, who wants to play volleyball? And I never did it. And then, I mean, kind of regret it now, but I still got to play, so that's...
Do you think that if you were like started, let's just say, in like freshman year,
I don't want to think about that.
you'd
Because
be at like
I know I'd be at probably a high level.
like Texas Tech? Who are the like blue bloods of men's volleyball?
For college,
Yeah.
UCLA, Long Beach, Hawaii,
Oh, it seems like the
That would make
warm
sense.
weather. But even though it's indoors,
they're like
just still
on a different level.
Hawaii. That's interesting. Long Beach.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
Well, I mean, it would make sense if it's outdoors, but it's indoors.
Yeah, but you can play. So like if it's through the winter, I mean not through the winter, but like in the summer, they'd be out more, playing it more. I'd assume.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
like
maybe
it's a more
probably just
natural part of the
those
culture.
people, yeah, just grew up like
Yeah.
Like
playing volleyball all
Hawaii,
the time.
Hawaii's a lot of like beach players. Like everybody plays beach, and Hawaii is like there's one, the only D1 school is that school.
Yeah.
So like it's either you make it or you don't out of Hawaii.
You probably also get so bouncy jumping in the sand,
Yeah,
like because like restricting is
Well,
not
right,
the same as your.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
it's
Beach
two
volleyball
separate
is fun.
sports, right? By the way, like sand, like beach
Yeah,
volleyball
yeah,
and then
yeah.
regular volleyball.
Yeah,
Have you
it's different.
have you played? Is there college level beach volleyball?
No.
No, that's
I think
There's professional.
I think
But-
there is. I was talking to Coach Joe, and he said that some women's schools, there's like 50 of them, have beach volleyball as a sport.
that's fine.
Sure.
Have you
I'm
played it?
pretty sure. I'm
I mean,
pretty
I've
sure.
played it, yeah.
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 I'll have Coach Joe verify that. But I think it's like super not popular because we were talking about it. And I think Florida State Florida potentially has a team, and something like that. He said there's like 50 teams, or like it's very 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 small.
I want to ask what your stats were, but they're gonna mean nothing to me. But I still like. Do you keep track of that in volleyball? Like your kills?
Yeah.
Your I don't know anything else
Yeah.
with that.
I mean, I try not to, but
Hmm.
it's one of those things where after every game I look just to see.
So like, give me a reference point in like high school. What would like be the bar for someone to be good, and like what did you get?
For high school?
Yeah.
High school is very different from college. Like, the kill ratio is way higher in high school just because the skill level is way different. You know, there's always that one or two people on that team that just, it doesn't matter. They're going to get a kill, like, no matter what. I'm pretty sure my senior year I don't even remember. It might have been, it was either 200 or 300 kills. And my friend had like 500. Like,
Where is said friend now?
he doesn't go to college. He's on his own path.
Doesn't play volleyball though.
No.
So after high school, did he have high major offers?
He had a few D1 offers. He was gonna go to Merrimack if he was probably.
To play.
Yeah.
And he decided that he just doesn't want to continue. That's
No.
interesting. So he passed it on to you, and now you're holding it down for the.
I'm trying my best here.
Yeah, we're a little bit like more ignorant on like the volleyball stats. So you say 300 kills. Would that be equivalent to like 300 points in basketball, or what is that? Like, if someone has 1,000 kills in their career, is that like hard to do?
Yes. In my opinion.
Like
for high school, yeah. I mean, either one. I mean, it's 1,000 at the end of the
Okay.
day. But college is definitely. I mean, there's probably only a few that came out of Elms that have 1,000, and that's my end goal is to get 1,000.
So like that's probably similar to 1,000 points in basketball.
Okay,
Like
so
300 points across 25 games is like over
Yeah.
10 points a game.
But like, how many kills would you average a game?
I average 11.
Kills a game.
Okay, so it is pretty close.
And-
Then.
It is pretty close to points per game.
Yeah, that's fourth in the conference.
So
Like-
maybe a little harder than points per game because 11 points per game.
It would not put you at fourth in the conference.
It probably puts you top 30. Like I said, every team. Well, it's 15 teams. Every team has at least 2 guys averaging 11. So, yeah, top 30. Maybe like top. Yeah. So it's probably a little bit more difficult. So wait. So versus Curry,
Yeah.
when you had your career game,
Yeah.
you're actually current athlete of the week, right now. Congratulations. It said you had like 32 kills that game.
I had 22 that game,
Oh,
and then the
22.
next game I had 17.
Oh, so they combined 39.
Yeah.
Okay. So like 22 kills. It's probably equivalent to like 35 points.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the highest kill amount in the conference as of right now is like 25.
So
for a
call
game.
it like 1.21 points per kill, equivalent to basketball points.
Yeah.
Minor inflation.
Conversion ratio. That's funny. So how are you? So new coach this year. I feel like in the recently, like I know men's soccer coach is relatively new. Women's basketball and women's basketball.
Wysocki?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think he coached under Coach Sean for a while, and then as the men's soccer coach, he's relatively new. Coach Janisha, the coach of the women's basketball team, is relatively new, and our coach's first year, your coach's first year, and I feel like a lot of the programs are like on the up and up. I mean,
Yes.
we started super rough. We were at a conference. We were 0-11,
Right.
and then second half of the year we kind of flipped a switch, and started working as a team, started buying in, and kind of just took that time we were just like started to gel, and now we're at this moment 8th in the conference out of 15, and are in position to have a home game in the first round of the playoffs in the play-in, which is like so unheard of. It's like we didn't like so
From
and
last year to this year.
but
Last
also
10
like,
years.
Yeah.
so the men's basketball program hasn't made the playoffs in 10 years, and this is the most. And we've never made the GNAC playoffs because we haven't been in the GNAC. We've been in the GNAC for 5 years, haven't made the GNAC playoffs, and haven't been in the playoffs total in 10 years. And we also, this is the most conference wins in like the past 10 years as well. So it's been dope. But you guys are also having a strong season as well.
I mean, strongish.
Especially, first of all, to preface, you guys lost 2, like, first or second team all conference guys.
Yes.
And so, like,
Who's that?
Pedro and Colin.
Don't know if I ever met them.
Yeah. They were big pieces for us. We're kind of on a rebuilding year, which, I mean, we're trying to get wins, but next year is we're trying to bring in everybody and then hopefully make a push to get a good playoff spot.
But you guys are, it's not like, oh, we're just going to get our ass
Yeah,
up every game. Like, you guys are
it's-
super competitive.
Yes.
Spirits seem very high.
Yes.
Talk a little about that. And what's the coach's last name again?
Hapgood.
Habgood.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about what Coach Hapgood is instilling in the program culture-wise as well to help facilitate that growth.
I mean, it's a lot different from last year. I mean, we
We don't have to speak on that too much.
no. I will speak on it. Last year was more of, us getting coddled around and not really caring about how much we want it. And Hapgood came in, and he's one of those people that just makes us want to win. Like, there's never a time where we think we're out of a game, even if it's Springfield. Like, Springfield's top 5 in the country right now.
We watched that game.
And
We gotta ask that question later. Actually.
last year, there's a huge improvement. We lost 2 guys. Either way, I mean, we were neck and neck with them.
Yeah, you're dogging. You were definitely right there.
for a couple sets. I mean, it's improvement, and that's all we're looking for right now. Like, even though it's a rebuild, we're just trying to, make progress, build a family, and then get to next year, hopefully, make a push.
That's also a game you don't have on your schedule to win. That's a
No,
game you have
I mean,
to test yourself.
that's
That's like us playing
yeah.
against Trinity,
Right.
which is like now ranked 6th in the country. Last
Right.
year they lost in the Final Four of the national tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like 29-0, best team in the country. We got smoked, but it tests like how much you want it. How
Yeah.
can you? How do you guys bounce back
Yeah.
from getting your ass whooped
Exactly.
like that? And just like it's more of a mental thing. Like see
Yes.
how the team that is at the top of the top and where you guys eventually would love to get to.
Yes.
How do they carry themselves? How do they execute? How do they
Exactly.
do all those things?
I've noticed. I was gonna say with your coach, he's very non-reactive. Like when
Yes.
things are happening, like if it's good or bad, he just sits there in blank face.
And that's something I love because a lot of people on the team get in their head a lot, and for him to stay cool while we're playing gives us that mental that we can bounce back. And then once timeout comes in, then he tells us what we have to work on. It's not like he's yelling at us, he's screaming at us during each point, and we're flustered. We're calm, and it helps us. It helps us tremendously, honestly.
Was Springfield playing their A guys? We were trying to figure that out
So-
when we were watching the game.
So there was a few starters throughout the whole game. I mean, it wasn't their top starting 6, but I mean they had 2-3 guys each rotation that was starters, which they never did with us. They always played their second, third team, no matter what.
Really?
Which is, I mean, again, improvement.
Oh yeah.
Which is.
And you guys are definitely banging with them.
if they did
we
play-
stayed for I think the first set.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of the second set, but the first set was like you guys were banging with them. I think it was
Yeah.
like maybe like 25-21 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was
I mean,
super. It was like neck and neck.
that's
It's like,
all. That's all I'm looking for. Like,
Hell yeah.
just being competitive with the best teams.
Culture piece wise, like what is some things that he is really focusing on? To be honest with you, in my classes on Wednesday mornings, I think Monday, Wednesday mornings, is in that room in McGuire, and there was a sheet that was for the women's volleyball team that I think someone left behind, and I guess it's because they're like, I guess preparing to start their spring season, and it was like rules, and it was like how to carry yourself, and it was front and back, bullet points, the whole thing, and it was like preseason, postseason, during season, game days, and it's like you show up an hour, 30 minutes before,
Yes.
you like X, Y, and Z, and it was super. It was all. It wasn't like anything unreasonable,
No.
but it was like super strict, super organized.
Yes.
So I want you to talk a little bit about like those culture pieces that he's trying to.
Yeah, I mean, he's very organized when it comes to, game days, practice days. Like, we have film sessions before games, which which we didn't do before. I mean, it's either we as a team do film sessions, or he makes us do it on our own, and then he quizzes us after about it, which
That's
we've
interesting.
never done as a team, which helps because we need everybody on the same page. I mean, that's the only way we can win. And he's very strict on the whole family policy. I mean, a few of our guys have had their differences, and he makes sure that they all put it aside. And when it comes practice, game day, like on and off the court, it's separate. And once we get onto the court, it's locked in. We play our game, and it's night and day from last year.
That's awesome. Tell me about the family thing. It was actually interesting. That just reminded me of. So when we're in the huddle, we're not even allowed to say family yet. Like, coach does not let us say family. We're like, we'll put our hands in and be like, like, Blazers on 3 or work on 6. Like, we're not allowed to say, like, usually we like Blazers on 3, family on 6. But we're not allowed to say family until we earn it. And we've had, like, moments in the year where where we've said family, but, like, it's not like just throw that word around loosely.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you said that. I feel like it's such a big part of collegiate sports,
It's a
and
huge
everything
part.
being on the same page. Like, I feel like in volleyball that's so important too,
It's the most important thing.
because only like obviously you can only touch the ball 3 times
Yes.
per I guess possession. I don't know what a better word for that is, but so that means that like 3 people on the court, or even potentially 4 people on the court, aren't touching the ball for a possession, and you can't all if you're both people running at the ball at the
Right,
same time.
exactly.
Like that's where shit goes south. Like you have to be on the same page so much. Like it's actually like, especially like, playing with you guys last year in practice and stuff. Like that was the main thing I noticed is like like it's maybe even more than basketball. You have to have 5 guys or 6 guys on the same page. There's also one more person too. Basketball's 5 guys.
I was gonna ask, is volleyball one of those sports where you can take like one really, really, really good player and that can like kind of overrule another team, or is that like not a possibility?
See, that's. I mean, honestly, no, because if you're playing, I mean, it depends what team you're playing. I mean, if you're playing one of the lowest teams in the conference, I mean, yeah, you can get by. But if you're playing a good team and you have one good guy, they can throw up triple blocks on you and just work around you specifically. And it's almost to nearly impossible to win off of one player. I mean, you need everybody to do their job no matter what.
Yeah. Like, basketball is a sport where like one person
Right.
can win games. Like there are some teams that, like, for example, so like we talked about LaSalle, like you said, that's one of the best teams. You had a player transfer there. A couple years ago, they had a player, and like they weren't a top team, but they definitely made the playoffs. And they had a player averaging like 30 points a game, one conference player of the year. And I don't think the rest of the team, like for example, even last year there was an all conference guy on Dean, and he was like 5'8", 5'9" guard, and he was averaging like 30 points a game. And like they could get W's off of him going for 30. But in volleyball, I feel like that's not the case. Like for example, last year in practice, like I'd be like terrified because I would be like on the other team usually, and But then Nick only gets the ball like once every like 3-4 possessions because you can't just put that the same person every single time.
Yeah.
It's predictable.
And so it's like you kind of realize quickly like you need everybody to do their job.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like it's gonna be rough.
When you see a guy like Max on the other side, do you like sort of lick on your lips and like I'm gonna absolutely destroy this next one?
I mean,
throw it
not
at
him specifically, but I mean, if I'm playing a game and there's a weaker side, I'm always going to that side.
Yeah, because I remember in high school I played a little bit of volleyball, and like when I got on, I wasn't great, but like the teams would notice as soon as I filtered in, and it's kind of like let's send it his way. And they notice things really quickly.
It's all about targeting in that game. I mean, if you see a weakness, you attack it, and that helps. Like that's the one thing that we try to work on, like just targeting the weaknesses, trying to stay away from their strengths, get them out of system. Like that's our main goal.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in your guys' scout? Like this
Yes.
is the person we want to target.
Yes.
That's interesting. Like what are some obviously you can't really expose like the ins and outs of the scout, but like the scout as a whole. Like for example, basketball, we got the scout for our game tomorrow versus LaSalle, and it entails personnel,
Strengths and weaknesses.
strengths and weaknesses, pretty general stuff, and then yeah, I'm obviously not going to get too deep into
Right.
it, but what does a volleyball scout? Is it similar or?
Yeah,
I would assume it's like a right-hand hitter.
Yeah,
Like,
it's similar. I mean, our main goal is to look at their main hitters and where they hit consistently, if they tip, because we have trouble doing tips. I mean, it's difficult, but we try and look out for that. We look out for if the middles can close the block on time, because I'm a little spoiler, but today the middle that we're playing has trouble closing the block, so we're gonna attack that weakness, and that helps. I mean, that can get us free points.
Is there like a tip to hit ratio type of thing? So it's like if he hits 60% of the times he's set it to and tips 40% or anything like that? Because in basketball, like one of the things we'll look at is 3 points, percentage of shots. So it's like, for example, me, if like the games where I'm on the other team scout, when I'm higher up in the rotation and playing more, they'll look at my stats and they can notice that 96% of my shots are threes.
Right.
So it's like you know how to prepare for a certain player. You know that's what they want to do.
I mean, yeah. I mean that could be similar. We look at what hitters hit in the back row.
Okay.
We look at, the total attempts of each player. I mean, to see how much they usually do get the ball for each rotation. And I mean, tips are difficult. It's one of those things where it just happens. I mean, it's more of a fixing instead of, if you're getting set perfectly, you're not going to tip. I mean,
it's more reactionary.
Yeah, it's more just split
This is
reaction.
hard, dude. It's hard to do that. And it's hard to defend it too.
It is.
Because if you see, for example, you see Nick coming to hit the ball, like your automatically instinct is like, we have to go try and block it. We have to try and block it,
Right,
and
exactly.
then everyone's preparing for a hit, and last second he just like puts it over. It's like it's really hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, volleyball's a hard sport,
It is.
but it's super fun.
It's a blessing.
Is there a lot of pressure with volleyball? I feel like that's one of the reasons why I was kind of gravitated towards it. I mean, and it's also different when it's your second sport. Like I would put a lot of pressure on myself.
Yes.
Basketball wise, but volleyball, I feel like, it's volleyball for me, so it's not super attached to like my identity, and so like if I go out there and get like absolutely stomped on, it's like I'm not gonna go and be like I'm worthless now, like but at basketball you go have a bad shooting day, it's like it's the end of the world. So
Right.
I don't know if that's how that is similar,
I mean,
or-
yeah.
because it is your main sport.
I mean, I have high expectations for myself always, and being in a rebuild, a lot of the guys have high expectations for me every game, and I put pressure on myself. And at the end of the day, there's games that I'm not gonna do well, and it's not the end of the day, but there's also games where I bounce back and go off, and it's the same mentality. Like I'm never complacent. Like after the career high, I'm like I want to beat that. It's never sitting there and being like I'm the best, because you can't. I mean, the next game
hungry.
you can drop 5 kills.
Is there a phrase kind of thing that you would use to help you bounce back from a bad game in basketball? I'm trying to create parallels from basketball to volleyball for us to understand, but also for the audience. So, for example, in basketball, if I go out there and don't make some shots, like my coach will say to me, like, water finds its level. That's like kind of a metaphor of like water goes up and down and there's waves, but at the end of the day, it's like still at a certain level. So you're a good shooter. You're gonna shoot above your average, shoot below your average, and eventually it's gonna like flatten out. Is there anything that maybe your coach would say to you?
I mean, we don't have phrases. It's one of those things where we know what we can do, and if you have a bad game, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Like, you know what you can bring to the table, and just, do your best to do it next game. I mean, it's next game mentality, like always.
I feel like volleyball is one of those sports where it's kind of hard to put in individual work because, like, if you were to go to the gym by yourself and try and improve,
right,
how you really couldn't do that.
You got to set up the nets.
Yeah, and you need someone else there to set him if you really want to specifically dial down on things. So, like, how do you get individual work in?
For me personally, I mean, it's difficult to just bring a ball to a court and just hit against a wall. I mean, my biggest thing is just going to the gym, like, working on strength. I mean, that's the biggest part of the game because, we practice 6 days a week with the ball. Like, at the end of the day, I don't need to be, hitting a ball against the wall to get better for what I need to be doing. And, I mean, during summer, it's different. I mean, a bunch of the guys, we love playing grass. I mean, just to get out there and practice. We play beach. Like, I play beach. I mean, there's so many times where there's never not just one person wanting to practice. Like, there's always going to be a couple people that want to play. So, I mean, I'm not.
Basketball, I feel like I guess there's like more of like a stigma around work, and it's like very, very like, I don't say like popular, but like kind of necessary.
Right.
And it's also because it's other than like basketball and like soccer, the two easiest sports to just go pick up a ball, go to the park. And so if you're not doing that, somebody else is.
Right.
And so even like in the season, like if you look at 5 people play, we have 13 guys on the team. So that means that at all time 6 people or 8 people, can't do math. 8 people are not playing. And so if you want to increase your role and your position, like, well, everybody's going to that 2 hours of practice. So how are you, if me and Chris are going to 2 hours and Chris is above me in the rotation, how am I going to get better than him?
Right.
It's either I go put in extra work or I can be really intentional, focused in the work that we're putting in the same. There's kind of 2 different ways to go about it, but I think a lot of people try and do both. But yeah, volleyball is a little bit different. There are a couple sports that are a little bit different. So that's kind of interesting.
How did you get here?
We got to talk about, he left us for a little bit,
Yes.
too.
I did.
When?
I transferred last year after the last semester of last year, and went to Assumption. A lot of the whole thing with last year's
Fiasco.
I had doubts about playing. I wanted to just get away. And there was a point in time where I did think about transferring to LaSalle to play at, one of the highest levels. It just came down to, am I gonna go an hour and a half, 2 hours away from home, and potentially get a spot my sophomore year, and either hate it or love it and be stuck there, or, go an hour away. Hang out with some friends and do my thing and just step away for a while.
Just exist.
Yeah. And, it was fun, but I think it was October. Elms had a play day for volleyball, and I went and watched.
What does that mean?
So before, usually halfway through preseason of fall, there's it's like a scrimmage day between 4 different teams, and they hosted it here.
Okay.
So a bunch of teams played, and I went, and I saw all the guys, I saw the coach. I was down there, I saw what he brought to the table, and I was like, yeah, I'm coming back because
Making a comeback.
I couldn't get away from it. I mean, that's all I was thinking about there, and I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. So that was the first time. Did anyone, like, while you're at Assumptions, hanging with your boys, did you get a call from, like, somebody and be like, yo, like, this new coach is awesome? Like, is that, or is that just coming to that thing, the first kind of initial?
I mean, me and John stayed in contact a lot. He brought it up a few times, but it's one of those things where, like, he's.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, he just, he wants help and all that. So I was just like, you know what, I'll go to the play day, just see how it is. And yeah, it was a totally different environment, and once I started talking to him, it just brought back everything. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And immediately after, I got my paperwork in and I got my transcripts. Like, everything was just set within the next few weeks, and I left it.
What are some differences between a bigger school like Assumptions, and then a smaller private school like Elms?
I mean, honestly, Assumptions was not that big. School classes are obviously a little bigger. A lot more walking. Dorming. I mean, I don't dorm here, but dorming there was difficult for me.
Do you have a roommate?
Yeah, I had a roommate. He's one of my best friends. He's great. He also left once I left, so that made it easier for me. I don't think it's really different. No, I mean, it's one of those things where you see people once and you'll see them again like in like 3 weeks. Yeah. It's not like here where you see the same people every day. Yeah. You build relationships with people. Like I didn't talk to, I had 5, 6 friends max. I just talked to those people because I never saw anybody else.
Faculty-wise, I feel like at Elms, we talk about this on the podcast a bunch, but it's very like family-oriented, and like all the professors know your name. They even know like what's going on. Like I'll be walking with Chris, and professor will be like, "Yo, how's that summer internship? How is sales?" Like,
got fired.
Yeah, and they know a lot of. It's very personal. It's like relationships are on like a personal level with a lot of the professors. Was it like that at Assumptions? Maybe not. Maybe you weren't there long enough to experience that, but were you able to see it with other people, or was it more of just like you're a seat, you're a number in a seat?
I mean, the class size was, 20, 30.
Okay, it's not that much bigger.
It's not that much bigger, but people they just know your name. It's not like I walk down into the caf and a professor comes up to me asking me about volleyball. It's not like it's not like building relationships. It's just knowing your name, and that's it.
Yeah.
So how did you get here to Elms originally? Out of high school.
So after volleyball, I was heavily thinking about playing at the collegiate level. I was very late to the process, so I had a few offers, and my main goal was to just stay home. And there's not many teams around here that are local that have volleyball.
Are you a Chicopee, Springfield native?
Technically, no. I live across from Springfield, like literally right next to Springfield.
Okay.
So, the main schools that have volleyball from around here is Elms, AIC, and Springfield. And coming as a first year, Springfield's out of the question. And it came down to AIC and here, and AIC it's probably a good school. It's not the best area that I want to be in, and I came here, and it's definitely something I don't regret.
Do you know volleyball was invented in Holyoke?
Yes.
Fun
What?
fact. Yeah.
It is.
Massachusetts is just a hotbed for making sports.
Yes.
Basketball was in Springfield and volleyball was in Holyoke. Fun fact for the podcast. I learned that yesterday on the way back from the warehouse. I was like super like, what? Really, for real? But there's no. Not only is there apparently, it's not super big in Holyoke.
No, it's not, which is weird.
There also isn't like the only, I guess post-secondary institution in Holyoke is Holyoke Community College. I think they don't have like a Holyoke University or University of Holyoke, like what's something like that. I mean, it is a small town, but super interesting. I didn't know that.
Playing against Springfield, because we were looking up before, he was telling me he was the coach for Springfield. He's like an Olympic level coach.
Yes.
And is there something, were you watching them while they're warming up and trying to like see how they're doing things? Because I know when I watch them play Trinity or any good team, I'm like just watching from an outsider's perspective and trying to figure out like what are they doing that works? Like why are they so good at this one thing?
Yeah, for sure. You know, looking at teams that play at the highest level, I mean, it's a learning curve for us. Like, we implement things, we try to implement things that they do to help them succeed. Like, whether it's, you know, playing at a faster tempo or, you know, playing or doing plays that they do because it kills other teams. Like, for us, you know, we're not the tallest team in the conference whatsoever, but with that being said, having a faster tempo makes teams have to rush, and you know, for the smaller hitters on our team, like it helps them because the block is going to be late, so they can, you know, either kill it or, you know, tool it. So it helps them learn, it helps everybody else learn, and it makes us a better team just by watching. Like, you know, for me personally, watching them, you know, I try not to get, like, you know, phased by their warm-ups.
They hit that shit straight down.
Yeah.
That's
Straight
actually
down.
one of the most like craziest things about volleyball is you get to see basically like a 20-minute mini thing of like what we're about to play
Yeah,
against
imagine
versus
if the other
basketball.
team is like doing layup lines and you just have to sit on the
Yeah,
sideline
and
and watch
watch
them all
that.
dunk.
It's the
It makes it-
equivalent of watching, like, you know, teams windmill and layup lines. Like,
Yeah.
Like other teams, listen, every team has a couple guys that can like get up there, but we're also doing our own thing, so we're not really paying attention to that. You hear like maybe they'll yell, and then Sam will come down, do a 360 windmill, and like we'll all get hype.
Yeah.
But like it's not like we're sitting on the sidelines, just watching them, and then they also know that you're watching them,
Right.
so they're also like
And
they're
they
trying
have to watch you as well.
Yeah, it's super. It's kind of an interesting dynamic. I also think that this is kind of side note quickly, but like the new dynamic this year of having the locker rooms right across from each other
Yes.
is kind of a little weird dynamic too. Like you know our locker room.
Yeah,
is?
it's
The
across.
they made the visitors locker room
Right across
right
from it.
across from it,
Mhm.
which is like a little parallel to that, but it's like also kind of like a little weird vibes. Where do you guys do your pregame?
We do the pregame in the gym.
In the gym? It's like when you say we watch film before the game.
Oh, no, not directly before the game, like the day before.
Oh, okay.
Pre-game wise, we all do our own thing. You know, we prepare. You know, I get treatment done before every game. I take care of my body before I go onto the court. Before, you know, we get warm-ups, you know, we all do group stretch. You know, group hitting, like we all get our shoulders warmed up. It's not like a set thing where we go into the locker room and get hype. You know, like we do that. We all do that during warm-ups.
I guess it's also a little different because we play double headers with the girls.
Yeah.
So we only have 30 minutes to warm up, and so to maximize that time, at the end of the girls' third quarter, we'll go into the conference room.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss game plans,
Right.
discuss lineups, and we'll just go over the scout again, go over like what we plan to do, how we plan to guard different actions and stuff. And we'll even do our dynamic warm up in like the weight room or something because we want to maximize those 30 minutes to be able to get warm.
That's the difference because we have, you know, an hour.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, most of the time we're in the gym an hour and a half before the game, so we have all of that time to prepare instead of, you know, 30 minutes to get hype.
Yeah.
Having played with him, can you please brutally, viciously rate his volleyball skills on a scale of 1 to 10?
You know, it's difficult because you can't just go into the sport and be perfect. Like you know, there's
Unless you're Nick. Sorry.
well,
He's definitely much more naturally talented than
it's
and athletically gifted than I am.
it just goes down to fundamentals. Like that's the biggest part. Hitting wise, I thought it was good.
I was all right.
You know, you got the hops. That's
I
half
was
the
all right.
battle. I mean, if you have hops in that sport, you have a way higher chance of succeeding because you know if you can't jump, then it's gonna be a rough one.
I would kind of say like imagine like Dante G. Shout out Dante G. He was a guy who played on the men's soccer team at Medai, our first school, but he would love basketball and he'd like play pickup with us. Like imagine he was playing with us and like realistically, if Tay wanted to go at him every single time, get a bucket, like he'd get a bucket every single time, realistically. But like you're not really super like he could get a nice bucket, but like, oh shit, and then like you know,
LSU was pretty good at basketball, like very solid at basketball.
I would play in their like scrimmages, and if they were like trying to target me every single time, it would be dark. But like my team would win, like frequently. It was like a
What would you rate yourself? I wanted out of 10. Wait, before you say it, what would you rate him on a scale?
What's
1
the
to 10?
scale though? Who's a 10?
10 is like someone who plays on Springfield or something, like an unbelievable
Dude,
player.
I'm like a 3.5 on like the one, like a 2.5.
Okay, what would you that?
Well,
Accurate?
is 5 average? Is 5 an average college volleyball player? You have to. What's the scale?
That's a tough one.
Would I be able to compete on the team this year?
I think you would be able to play against
the worst teams.
like, yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Not as a as a hit against you, but it's
No, you can definitely. Bro, I don't play volleyball. I'm not good.
Yeah.
Like you can definitely be
That's what I'm
truthful.
saying, like,
you
you
can definitely be truthful.
like you can't go into a game where you're playing a good team and think you're gonna go off. Like if you're playing a bad team, I mean there's so many chances for you to probably. I mean, for example, we had a senior last year, Santino. Shout out Santino.
He actually refs our games,
Yeah.
our basketball games.
Yeah.
He refed us at Springfield. No
Love
calls.
The guy.
Gave us no calls.
Love the guy. He didn't play all year, and come his senior night, we played Emerson, which is a team. We won our first game, lost that game, but he went in, he started, and he had 5 kills, 0 errors, like instantly. Like he did
That's awesome.
perfect, which is something I feel like you could do against one of the more non-competitive teams. Like,
Dante G might be a good comparison, but like he was gonna try and play for Coach Hack the following year.
Well, I like if I chose to take volleyball seriously this year, like, do you think I would have been able to be on the roster?
100%.
Yeah,
So it's
you could have
pretty
been on the roster.
100%.
I'll give you that.
I mean, if it's all about effort.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put the work in, there's no limit, because whether it's from our team, from other teams, people don't put in 100%, and they don't see improvement, and they question it. But at the end of the day, if you put 100% effort in, you will become better, no matter what.
Something I'm curious about. So your guys' team right now is a couple returners, a couple recruits, and then a couple guys who were kind of in the same position as I was last year, of like just trying something new, kind of want to be a part of the team, learn a new sport, fill a body in practice, kind of helps everybody. You guys get physical bodies to fill spots on the court, and you need 12 guys to have like a full game going, so you have more.
Right.
And then they get to be part of a team, part of a culture. Last year when I did that, like, listen, I wasn't super bought into the sense of like I really want to be on the team, I want to work to try and get in. I was kind of just doing it as get my bounce up a little bit, have a little bit of fun. So like I didn't take it seriously at all. I was like, but they also practice for like 3 hours, and it's hard for me to dedicate 3 hours in the off season when I'm still like not letting up on my basketball training regimen, because like at the end of the day that's the goal. Like gotta keep the main thing. So like, and the coach last year, I know he talked a little bit about how it was a lot more lax, but like, dude, I would if I didn't want to do a drill, I wouldn't do a drill.
Right.
If they run, I wouldn't run. If they were I would leave like halfway through. If and it's like at the end of the day, like you can't really like that was the arrangement that we discussed before. So it wasn't like I was being a dickhead. It was more of just like this is what I signed up for. Like I'm gonna be a body, and I'm gonna come as much as I can, and just try and like just be that extra person when it works for both of us. That was the type of arrangement I was on. I wasn't like a fully like on the team, but you have a couple guys who are fully on the team. But does your guys' coach hold them accountable to the same way as he holds you guys accountable?
100%.
That's something I'm curious about.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, something we do in practice is we have trouble in games most of the time making serves.
Right.
So during practice, for let's just say yesterday, we did an hour straight of serving and receiving, and we hold everybody accountable as like the same. So each missed serve, no matter who it is, counts as a line.
Which like
So one every 10 would be an entire suicide through the court.
okay.
So no matter who it is, it always counts, which I like personally because it holds everybody accountable and it makes them want to get better. Even
Yeah,
though
exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah.
they're brand new to the sport. They might not play. They still want to get better, no matter what. Which, I mean, last year, same. I mean, that was not a thing. Like we didn't hold everybody accountable. We only held the starters and the people that were a piece to the team, no matter what, accountable.
Yeah, and that's all. Yeah, it's how you build a culture. Is
Yeah.
holding everyone accountable. But you also want to have like an extra body helps, but like if the extra body is a net negative,
Right.
like you don't want to have that a part of the thing. And also that's why I didn't really want to do that this year because I didn't feel like I could give everything to be a part of the team and what you guys are building. And listen, I still love volleyball. I still love coming and fuck around. And like in the off season, like after you guys are done, if you guys have open gym or whatever, I can come and hit it. So, but like I didn't want to be that like take away from what you guys are building. And just volleyball is a dope sport though. I had a great time. I had a great time.
Could you see yourself becoming a coach after college?
It depends. The path I want to be going into, probably not. But things change. If it's something I can do on the side, I would 100% come back and help coach because I even right now I'm helping him recruit. I'm trying to bring in my guys from high school, from the teams that I used to play.
You need to get the big dog back over here.
Who's the big dog?
The guy from high school? I don't know his name.
Oh, the other 1,000.
5 million kills a season.
Yeah.
Is he like super tall?
6'2", 6'1".
Super just bouncy and just had good placement.
Very bouncy. I'd say I wouldn't put it out of the picture, for sure. If it were to be anywhere, it would probably be here, just because, if I'm bringing in my guys, I want to be able to be there with them, because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna have all 4 years with them.
Yeah. That's what Moose is doing, right? Moose is here. Was he here in the prime of Elms? I know men's volleyball is like nationally ranked for a good portion of the last decade.
I think his freshman year, maybe his sophomore year, that was when we were at our prime, and that's something where I want to be at eventually. Like, be at the competition where we have a chance at pushing for the GNAC and then potentially going further.
GNAC's a super tough conference for volleyball too.
It's probably one of the toughest conferences in the country.
Is there like a March Madness type of thing for volleyball? Like the winners of all the conferences in a big tournament?
Yeah.
And then there's like, how many bids, like how many teams from the GNAC would make that?
One.
Oh.
And
so is there like at-large bids? How it works in basketball is, so like March Madness and like Division I, so that's consistent with the 3 divisions.
Right.
So just say there's 42 conferences, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
The winner of every conference gets an automatic bid, and then, but there's 64 spots for teams.
Yeah.
So the other 22, is that math right? The other 22 teams are made by a selection committee. So let's just say, like, for example, okay, for example, in 2023, so the year before we both got here, St. Joseph's, Connecticut, like they're in our they're in the conference for volleyball.
No, they're not.
Okay, but you know the school.
Yeah.
So they were 29-0, and then they lost in the conference finals to Albertus. So Albertus got the automatic bid for our conference, but because they were so dominant, the selection committee chose that they would be a good fit for the tournament and they're of the level of the tournament, and so they pushed them through still. And so there's 22 teams that get, or I don't know if it's exactly 22, but get between 20 and 25 that get, even if they don't win their conference, they had a strong enough out of conference and in conference play to still make it to the tournament. And so the conferences that have the strongest teams, like in basketball, the strongest conferences are like the UAA and the NESCAC, and like a conference in Wisconsin. There's like the three main conferences. Each of those might have 3 or 4 teams in the tournament, and only one team can win.
Yeah.
So is that similar to volleyball? And how many teams from the GNAC would get into that?
I don't think, because LaSalle and Wentworth are the 2 best teams, no matter what.
But only one team can win.
Right. Last year Wentworth won. They win. LaSalle didn't. I have no clue if they do selections. I'm almost positive it's literally just the winner of each conference just plays, and because it's not like a huge tournament where there's like 64 teams. It's one of the I'm pretty sure it's maybe 24.
Yeah, because not every conference has volleyball too.
Yeah.
Like that, for example, our last school, the Empire 8, doesn't have volleyball, and so a bunch of those teams in upstate New York play in that like United Volleyball Conference. Yeah. I don't really know too much on that, but it's like a bigger conference with a bunch of schools whose regular athletic conference doesn't have volleyball.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's just one team.
That's crazy. Imagine being nationally ranked, like top 10, losing the conference finals to like
and
then the season's being done.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So what do you do outside of volleyball? What are you studying? Why are you here? What are you trying to do?
I'm here, my main goal is business management, sales.
Same. Except minus the sales part, maybe.
Yeah. Sales. What I'm doing right now is I'm doing sales. Me and my friend, we sell life insurance, and it's a great job. So I'm trying to keep going with that. If that works out, good, great. But if that doesn't work out, I want to do real estate. I want to do some sort of sales in the business.
How did you get into life insurance? That's interesting. My dad tells me that I should
yeah.
go into insurance.
My friend has been doing it for a few months, and he was in the same boat as me. He's like, I don't know what I want to be doing. I want to do something business. He got into that, started making crazy money, and he was just like, dude, like, you gotta start this with me. Like, we'll get it done. And I've been taking the courses, taking the test next week, and we'll see how it goes.
That's awesome.
Something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. So wait, is it door to door? Is it on the phone?
It's remote.
It's remote, so it's on the phone,
Yeah.
and then they give you a lead list, and then you just call them and try and sell them. Okay. We were talking to a guy last night that does it, I think, right?
We were talking to a guy who actually is advising again, or he was just explaining how the insurance business is very like cutthroat, and you got to like really do a good job of like selling,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not for everybody.
Mm.
That's what he was kind of saying.
That was the account, but I was talking with the guy over to the left because he was phone to phone
Oh yeah, but he wasn't doing life insurance. He was doing medical tools or something.
Oh,
like that.
medical.
It was more of like it was more like a
yeah.
product as opposed to life insurance. But yeah, so you talk to like elderly people or people like
Yeah.
who's buying life insurance policies from you guys?
Literally
everybody.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, life insurance is something it's not a shortage. Like, everybody wants it, everybody needs it. Like, for example, yesterday, he sent me a video. He was just like, he's been in Mexico for 3 weeks, working with a bunch of the guys on the team, and he sent me a video, and he was like, I just did a 30-minute call. I a veteran. He wanted life insurance. You know, it was $1,200 a month. 12 months, that's like 14 grand. $120 a month. 12 months, $1,400. He keeps 70% of that.
70% commissions?
Yeah. So he made $950 in 30 minutes.
Bro, how do they make money on that? 70% commissions is insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Because if you have enough people doing that.
I guess.
I mean,
Holy
like
shit.
Each week our team sells probably 1,200.
Policies?
Yeah, policies.
What company do you work for?
It's called Karma Financial.
Where are they located out of?
I'm pretty sure it's based out of California. It's a bunch of 20-year-olds, like early 20s, just a bunch of guys that want to work.
Yeah,
You know?
dude. I sold pest control door to door in the summer, and I was on 30% commission. And do you have a script? Like right now, are you learning a script, or how are the courses and stuff? What are they teaching you?
Courses are just teaching you about each policy, everything about life insurance. Once I pass the test, we go into training, about scripts, about how to talk to people, what to say, how to sell it, all of that stuff. But yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, you can make it's either 50% or 70% commission based on if it's
How long the policy is?
No, it's based off of if it's your own lead or if it's somebody else's lead. If it's a reference, if it's a reference, you get 70%. If it's your own lead, it's 50%, which is either way, it's
insane. It's a lot of money.
insane money.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of money to be made in sales, but it's definitely rough. Like first couple months is a hard learning curve.
yeah.
So you're not allowed to actually sell right now until you have the designation, or how does that work?
So once.
And they hired you knowing that you don't have the designation and helping you through that. Like, what's that process like?
Yeah, so we take I think it's a 40-hour course. I've been doing it the last week and a half, getting that done. You take a state exam, and then once you pass that, you file for a license, and that's pretty much it.
How long are you dedicating to that per day as of right now?
Right now, it's difficult. I mean, I'm nonstop with volleyball. I try and take 3-4 hours a day, whether it's after practice, during class. But once volleyball ends, I'm trying to get 30-40 hours a week and just grind.
Is it something you want to do for like the rest of the year, or?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if I start making money, I mean, I would do it as long as I can and just try and get more hours each week, because it's one of those things where it's not based off of like an hourly wage. It's one of those things where if you put the work in, you will make more money. Like, and if you put more effort in, you will make more money. It's not like I'll sit there for an hour a day, possibly make a sale, and then just cut
That's
it
what
off.
Chris was doing.
Yeah. Oh.
He'd knock 5 billion doors, and if he was lucky, one old lady would talk to him for 30 minutes, and then he'd be able to give her his card.
Door to door is a different beast, like very different beast.
I can't. And also the good thing about our company is it's strictly based on leads.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're already interested, so you don't have to worry about that.
It's not like cold calling where you're trying to get somebody interested. It's everybody's that you're calling wants it. So that takes out half the time and half the hassle of trying to get people to want. Like you're not convincing people. You're just trying to sell it.
Yeah, the thing is too is like it's half your brain power. So like you open the door, and then from the moment you start spewing your script, you're like kind of breaking this person down to figure out, do they want it, do they not want it? And if you get to the point where it's very obvious, their body language, everything is telling you they don't want it, sometimes I just turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
Like you just stop talking because you're like, there's nothing that I could say right now that would get you to buy this. Like the fact that I'm a door-to-door salesman alone is enough for you to just hate me.
Right.
And I had some rough interactions before I got sent home.
Door-to-door is a different beast. That's something.
There's so much money in that too, though. Like my boss, my manager, he was making like $250K in 3 or 4 months, enough to pay for the rest of the year. So he'd work 3 months out of the year and then just exist for the other 8, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, but if it works out, it works out in your favor completely.
Mm-hmm. Have you been contemplating sales since high school, or is this like a spur of the moment thing?
Yeah, I've been bouncing back and forth between what I want to do in sales, but it's always been, sales, business management, like anything in that realm. That's all I've wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. I'm contemplating telephone sales after last night with that guy, because he made it sound like it was actually a decent job when you get your own leads, where he's not cold calling. And if I could get into that, I think it would be a lot easier than trying to convince a bunch of people who probably don't want me on their doorstep that they should take my pest control.
It's way different, going on the phone and not being face to face with somebody and looking at their body language and looking at, they're not interested. If they're not interested, they just
hang up.
They hang up.
Yeah.
Which is fine with me. Cool.
It's a lot of dodging F-bombs, doorsteps, bro.
Chris would call me in the summer and tell me the most egregious stories about how he was chased off of doorsteps and
that's crazy.
Told
Dude, okay,
to
so I'll tell the story real quick.
KYS and
just to
crazy stuff.
So one of the last days, my sales manager fired the entire office. I'll preface with that. We got to the point in the selling season where we should have been getting a lot more sales. Everyone had already gotten there. We've been there for a month. We know the script, and we're going out and we're trying to sell, and nobody's really getting sales. So he starts putting the pressure on us and telling most of us that, hey, if you don't get a sale, we're going to have to let you go. We can't have new people coming in, seeing that there's no sales, think it's impossible. So this is the last week that I was there. He told us this. So we're going out to sell. And one of the last days I was out there, I was feeling pretty good. There was days where you could check the vibe of the neighborhood and see if there was general interest or not. Yeah. Sometimes you open doors and just something in the air or the energy, nobody wanted to talk to you. But today it was fine. I was getting through conversations, talking to people. There's this old lady in her yard. I talked to her for 30 minutes just about random stuff. It was calm. Got to the 15th door and my phone started buzzing in my pocket while I was giving the pitch. So they didn't buy. I got off the door, looked at my phone, and it was a no caller ID. So I was like, okay, what? And I started walking to the next house, and I got called again. So I picked it up, and it was an AI voice message saying, F you, you scammer, I DOSed you and got your number, all this crazy stuff. But it was an automated voice message, and I was like, okay. So that set the tone for the rest of the day, basically. And so I knocked 15 more doors in the next hour and a half. Couple bad interactions. Some dude's kid just got home from school, told me to get off his doorstep, a couple things like that. And so I having a really rough day. Got to about 6 o'clock. And I texted one of my old mentors, a basketball coach, and I was like, I don't think I can do this, man. This is really wearing on me mentally. And he goes, just give it one more door. So I go to this super nice neighborhood. There's 6 houses all separated by a ton of yardage, giant houses, millionaires. Walk up to the first door. I knocked on the door, and he had a little screen thing right here. And this 65-year-old dude starts walking towards the door. He just goes, what? Screams, and I wheeled my head around. And I just kind of started splurging the pitch at him. And the longer I continued to talk, the more his facial expression just started to wither and the angrier I could see him getting. And he let me get it all out. And as soon as I stopped and said one of the parts where you have to ask them a question, have you heard of the so-and-so? They have the same product as us. He just looked at me and cocked his head to the side and he said, you. And I was like, okay. And then so I started to turn off. I just started walking off the doorstep. And he's like, you salesmen are all never come back here.
You have to take
kill yourself, all this stuff. I'm just and then so I walked up, I went into my car, texted Brad, and I was like, I'm done for the day. This is just not it for me. And then a couple days later, I got fired. But yeah, that's door to door for you. That was a very regular occurrence. My roommate who quit after the first 2 weeks, he got chased off of a doorstep by a dog. He dropped his binder, had to go back because the invisible fences are very big in Milwaukee. So you'll get across and you don't really know if there's a Rottweiler waiting around a shed and stuff. And it's crazy.
I think you would be good at sales if there was already a lead and it was something you were interested in.
I don't know.
Imagine you could sell protein powder that you actually used, and
I'd rather sell when there's that and there's
or imagine you could sell 0 calorie maple syrup.
Or I could sell my own fitness program. If I was selling people on the ability to gain muscle and lose fat, and it was my program and my strategies, I feel like that would actually work out a lot better.
You could do it.
There's definitely a possibility. I'm lingering with the idea. I don't know what I'm gonna do this summer, but yeah, sales is wild.
So as well. You got anything else?
I think that's it. That's the last question.
What's something that you would advise your younger self? What's one thing you wish you could tell your younger self? I low-key forgot how I phrased the question. One piece of advice you would give to your younger self. That's the sticker.
You know, honestly, I would say to take, hardships as a piece of motivation instead of, letting it be an obstacle for you because, even this year, I mean, I've gone through some shit. And the one thing I've been trying to do is, not let it become an obstacle to the point where I can't get stuff done. I'm using it as a piece of motivation to make myself better. And, I think even my younger self, like, everybody's gone through shit. And it's whether you bounce back from it and use that as motivation or you let it sulk and you let it bundle up and get to a point where you just think either you're worthless or you can't do anything. That's definitely, I'd say, the piece of advice I would use for my younger self.
Sure. Thank you for the time this morning. I appreciate you coming on the ship.
Dude, I appreciate it.
13 minutes to Slutty Hall.
Oh, it's all right. Whatever.
Thank you guys for listening. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Follow us on Instagram at SATV_pod, TikTok at Shift Across the Border. And yeah, drop a comment. Let us know if you're messing with the playoff stash. And yeah, see you guys in a bit.